Picture this: a line in the earth so straight, so stubborn, that even after 2,000 years of floods, wars, kingdoms rising and falling, it still refuses to disappear. What kind of civilization builds a road that refuses to die? Today, we unravel the forgotten story of India's ancient highways, from Mauryan stone routes to the legendary Grand Trunk Road. If you drive through the plains of Bihar or the dusty stretches of Uttar Pradesh, you might see something strange: an elevated ridge of earth running in a perfectly straight line, slicing through villages, farms, even rivers. Most people never notice it, but for archaeologists, this ridge is the whisper of a forgotten empire. It is said that long before Rome carved its first highway, long before China laid the first stones of the Silk Road, India had already built roads that stretched farther than imagination, linking the Himalayas to the seas, the deserts to dense forests, and capitals to distant frontiers. Imagine the sounds along these roads: the creak of wooden wheels, the grunt of bullocks pulling caravans heavy with salt, spices, metal, and cloth, the rhythmic footsteps of monks walking from one monastery to another, and somewhere far ahead, the thunder of royal messengers racing toward distant provinces with news that could change an empire. These were not just paths. They were the arteries of a civilization, carefully measured, meticulously engineered, and astonishingly straight, as if someone had drawn a line across the subcontinent and said, "Build here." Today, we travel back into that world, back to the rulers, engineers, travelers, merchants, and dreamers who shaped India's earliest highways and left behind clues hidden in dust and stone. Our journey begins in the Mauryan Empire nearly 2,300 years ago, when Chandragupta Maurya ruled a land so vast that ruling it without roads would have been impossible. His administrators surveyed the terrain with an almost mathematical eye. They didn't follow rivers or forests. They cut roads in straight, uncompromising lines. Megasthenes, the Greek ambassador who visited India, wrote breathlessly about them. He described highways where trees lined both sides, wells appeared at intervals, and patrols guarded merchants. He spoke of roads so well organized that even the Greeks were impressed, and coming from a culture that admired perfection, that says something. The crown jewel of this system was the royal highway from Pataliputra to Taxila. Imagine traveling 2,500 kilometers on a road so uniform that even today satellites can trace parts of its original path. These roads were layered: first gravel, then compacted earth, sometimes stone on top. They had drainage ditches to prevent flooding. And at regular intervals, rest houses offered shade and water, making travel possible even in harsh heat. But these roads were more than infrastructure. They were conduits of ideas. Buddhist monks walked these paths, carrying stories, philosophies, and teachings. Traders rode them with carts full of goods and gossip. Armies marched, spreading not just power, but also new languages and customs. Every route became a cultural highway. Centuries passed. Empires rose and fell, but the bones of these ancient roads remained. They resurfaced during the Gupta period, restored and widened. Pilgrimage routes grew around them. Trade towns bloomed along their edges. And eventually, one ruler would take these ancient foundations and reshape them into something legendary: Sher Shah Suri. In the 16th century, he looked at the dusty, broken trail that had once been the Mauryan artery and breathed new life into it. He built sarais, rest houses, every few kilometers. He planted thousands of trees. He marked distances with stones. He connected distant lands in one uninterrupted stretch, from Bengal to Kabul. This wasn't a new road. It was a rebirth of a road that had existed since the time of Chandragupta. Later, the Mughals would beautify it, and the British would pave it, extending it even further. And today, we know it as the Grand Trunk Road, one of the oldest, longest, continuously used highways in the world. But here's the part that feels almost magical. Modern engineers, using satellite imagery, have discovered that some of India's highways today still follow the exact alignment of Mauryan roads. The ancient blueprint still guides our movement, thousands of years later. What we drive on today is not just asphalt, it is memory. A memory of a civilization that understood movement, commerce, communication, and engineering on a massive scale. India's ancient roads were not accidents. They were deliberate, strategic, and visionary. They shaped cities. They shaped trade. They shaped culture.